Hey YouTube viewers, it's Peter once again from WA Metro Cichlids and Shrimp. How you all doing? Well, where to start? This video's got nothing to do with fish, but it does have to do, or shrimp for that matter, but it does have to do with fish stands. The reason why I'm doing this, and I've gone out my way actually today to do this, take some time out to actually do this, is because I had someone today show me some DIY work of making some stands and racks and stuff and bits and pieces, and it's great. You know, I applaud people's enthusiasm, and I do it myself, and it's always good to do DIY and stuff like that. But in my opinion, when you're doing DIY, when it comes to your fish stands, you really need to be on your game. Especially if you've not done a lot of work, should I say, with wood. Metal fish stands like this one in front of me, it's pretty straightforward. It's on, you know, it's welded, it's fine. Just want to point out something though, just out of, you know, because I'm going to. The way this stand works is all the weight is bearing down directly on top of the legs, even though there's welds there, and that's never going to break under the kind of load limits that this is under, right? This here is bearing down on the legs. Now we're just going to walk over here very quickly, folks, to another table I have. Another example. This is a wooden table with metal legs. Now this is holding another fish tank. I want to point out something else. You'll notice the top is directly on top of the legs. Okay, so basically, the two things I'm trying to point out here is when you're doing fish stands, you need to be using the legs for what they're for, and that's for holding all the weight, not the fixings. You know, what I'm trying to say is, say for example, this cross piece here was the only piece of wood up against this leg, and this top wasn't here, and you were to put another piece under here going across the two back legs. It's a bit dark, folks, you can't see the leg over there, the back one, this is the front one. If you were to put a cross beam across and do fixings and hold the tank on this piece of wood using the side of the leg, your leg structurally is doing nothing apart from making up the shape of a square and holding everything from falling over. It's not actually taking any of the wood. So look, I want to just quickly, folks, what I'm going to do is I've got some paperwork here. It's really basic. It's not hard. For example, if you've got your wood frame, your base, this is what you're going to be putting your fish tank on, and you've got 4 legs, okay? One of the most common methods used on making professional made wood stands is this method, the half cut, or called a dead end, or whatever you want to call it. I only know this, and I'm just going to give everyone, a few viewers, a bit of my background. My father was a carpenter of 50 years and did his trade in England, where they do cabinet making, roof carpentry, and carpentry all in the one trade. It's not separate like it is in Australia and America, and carpentry's carpentry, that's it. In England, you learn the whole lot. So this bloke is one of the more old school taught carpenters that really learnt the crafting of his trade. He showed me this, my father showed me this, when I first did, and I noticed, folks, while I'm pointing this out, that I've noticed on all professional made wood stands that I've seen, most, not all, but have this method. Mine in my living room has this exact same method, and I did not make the stand. It came from the shop, like that. So, but I just want to point out, folks, let's go over to the next page, I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But today, folks, say for example, you're making racks to hold multiple loads of weight, whether it's 3-foot tanks, 3 tiers high, 4 tiers high, whatever. If it's 3 foot, 4 foot, 100, 150, 200 kilos, whatever it is. If you're going to put your cross frame, your base frame that you saw in the other picture, say this is the side-on view of the long side, if you were going to butt it up against your legs, your supports, right, these things that are supposed to be doing a lot of the work, if you were to do little half cuts and recess, should I say, the wood into there and then fix it, even if your screws, not saying that they ever would and normally ever do, would or do break, even if the screws, this wood ain't going anywhere, okay? But if you do what I've seen people do today and have the wood but flush up against this one, no cutout at all, okay, no cutout, and then you put a cross piece, like I was talking about just earlier in my video, with all your 4 screws or bolts, whatever, okay, you're using now, instead of the legs being used with all the weight bearing down on them, like we've seen on that desk and the other desk, you're now using your screws, are your only anchor point, and are the only thing holding up your 400 plus kilos of water, or 200 or 150 kilos of water for long periods of time. Now, I've had some people go, oh, you know, but I've seen other carpenters do it this way, and look, fair enough, you might get, there's like everything with all trades, lazy carpenters, lazy chefs, lazy doctors, lazy, you know, there's lazy everything out there, alright? Just because I've seen carpenters do it the wrong way, or someone said that they've seen a carpenter do it this way, or what, it doesn't mean it's the right fucking way. Excuse my French. It just means that you have witnessed something that probably could have been made a whole lot better. Okay, this option here is a no. This option is a yes. Or you could even put, depending on the design of your thing, if you're going to do a middle piece and have a bit of a, you could even put leg coming up from underneath. Alright, to, you know, so at least the weight's bearing down, letting the wood do its job, what it's supposed to do. Hold the weight. Your screws are not supposed to be holding the weight. I cannot stress that enough. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. When it comes to fish, you can get away with this sort of fitting when you've got not a lot of weight on it. Yeah, sure, it'll even probably hold an average light person for a while, 80, 90 kilos, for a while. And you might get away with it for a few years, folks. But once you start ricketing these things around and the screws start to get a little bit looser and water starts moving around and everything's starting to, you know, flex a bit over time, you can be sure as hell that that's going to fail on you at one point. That isn't. That's called professional wood joinery. That is called, I don't know quite what I'm doing, but I'll give it a go. And what's really irritated me, folks, I've tried to help someone today with this. And all I got back, and this is why I'm really frustrated, all I got back from trying to extend my hand to help someone was private messages saying, oh, before you go off half-cocked and tell me this, I only had so much material, I only had this. This has got nothing to do, this doesn't make you have to use any more material, folks. In fact, you're cutting away material. So that whole load of bollocks there that I was fed from someone who will remain nameless on this video is crap, right? Oh, I don't have enough materials, this and that. Whatever. So, there you go, folks. Really wanted to just point that out. Any quality carpenters know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is right. That is half bodgy work. Don't do it. If you do that and your tanks break and your fish go everywhere and you lose a lot of money, I'll have no sympathy for you, folks. None. Especially, more so only if you've watched my video. I'll definitely have no sympathy. If you haven't, I'll feel sorry for you because you didn't do your homework. Okay, this is as simple as that. Alright, look how tables are designed. Go speak to a factory that builds them. They'll tell you the same thing. They will not produce racks holding multiple hundreds of kilos of weight like that. Please feel free to comment, any viewers, especially any chippies out there, carpenters by trade. And yeah, thanks for watching.